G'day guys, back with another round of Facebook Scrabble games. In these videos I go through my Facebook Scrabble, my games on Facebook Scrabble. I talk about the strategy behind some of my moves, the thinking behind that, and hopefully you find it useful. Okay, so moving on to the first game for today. I am probably not going to be able to win this, depending on what my opponent has. They have 4 tiles left, but I picked up a terrible pick after I played my bonus. I just kept getting U's and I's. That's okay. We can try and work out a way around this. Now, I've got a few options available, so I can play things like Umu here. So it scores 16, but a better play in this situation is to play Zulu. Slightly less, but 15, but you get rid of the Z. Means my opponent can't just sort of sit on their laurels and wait for me to make a mistake or just play the game out slowly. Unfortunately, I can't use the Z here either. It's not a very kind board, but as far as endgame strategy goes, playing out your high value tiles and trying to go out in 2 is a very good strategy. In this one, I'm just not able to use the Z anywhere on the board, unfortunately, but it's worth more out of my hand than in it. So I'm just going to have to go ahead and play. My opponent might have been crafty and has set this spot up. But we'll see. I mean, there are other options I could have done, which is why the teacher is scowling at me. Things like playing Zax here for 19. Unfortunately, I couldn't use this A. I can't use this spot. I can't use this spot. And that's why U's and I's are very dangerous to keep on your rack at the end of a game. Unfortunately, in this one, just weren't able to do anything about it. And if you have a look at the other videos that include this game, yeah, you can see how I got to that point. But it is a very rare thing that happens. Okay, going on to the next game. I left VET on my rack after playing Sezve here. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, that's how I pronounce it. A T would be nice for vestment. Yeah, my opponent's getting a good run, so unfortunately I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything to catch up. I've kept it open, so I open up this spot, having this spot as well. So my opponent is just responding to this word. Obviously it's considered to be quite rare or unusual. So that's a reference, that will be 5 points. That's a reference to playing in high level tournaments where it's usually, if you challenge someone's word, they will get an extra 5 points if it's correct. And that's a standard rule across most international games. In Australia, we play, as a default, we play what's called single challenge, which you don't get penalised for challenging. So going back to the move, it's not looking pretty. It's very unlikely I could win this at all. I can't even think of how I could possibly win it. It would be like my opponent opens up a triple, something like that. So we'd want to get rid of the V. V and an M are the least flexible of these letters. I can do things like actually opening up the triple line, but it is dangerous. I'd still want to get rid of the V and the M. Maybe ME. Yeah, this is okay. Considering what I started with, yeah, that's not terrible. I'm not sure if I can even think of anything I can play. Unfortunately, like a word here ending in S would be great. Yeah, you can play as well as you can, but sometimes this just happens. Moving on to the next game. Okay, I'd left this spot open. I'm not having a good run in games in this particular series. I tried leaving this open. My opponent didn't score very much, so that's okay. Like, they could have just scored pretty much the same amount for chucking that ANT elsewhere. There doesn't actually seem to be anywhere I can actually play this, even something remotely similar to a bonus, unfortunately. Even trying to score, like, I have to get rid of the X because it's killing my rack. But even trying to find a score, anthraxes. Yeah, not quite the letters that I wanted. I don't think I've got anything with the X here, unfortunately. Maybe sex. It's just to keep the score going. Yeah. And then I've gone and picked a really bad pick for my letters. 2 A's. Unlucky. Don't think there's anything in here that I'll be able to play. Next turn, I'm going to be wanting to try and get rid of 2 A's. Because MANER is fine. Okay, moving on to the next game. I was a little worried about playing Carnos there because of this, and it looks like so I've gone and picked the Z now. Oh, but my opponent has opened up this really dangerous spot up here. Now, can't think of anything actually with the Z. Yeah, so I might just have to play the ZO. If I can get a similar score, like for the Z, the ZIR, that's going to be impressive. Even Grizz is probably the best balance that you can realistically hope for. But in terms of actually being able to play anything on the board, yeah, it's not looking pretty. ZO is going to be the best play, even though this is horrible. It's good enough to, you know, consider just playing out, because it's about 30 points more than anything else on the board. Okay, that's it for this round of Scrabble games. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.